Nope is an acquired taste. It's like telling someone that mustard is bad and that ketchup is the best condiment in the world. It doesn't automatically make one condiment inherently better than another, it's just one person's personal preference on the matter. And that logic can perfectly be used to describe Nope, because it has no heavy flaws outside of personal opinion and understanding. It's a highly structurally sound movie with incredible symbolism and top-notch foreshadowing, a straightforward yet suspenseful plot with a collection of actors that were acting like their life depended on it. And to those saying that this movie doesn't make sense, well, you're wrong. But hey, anyone is entitled to their own opinion at the end of the day. This movie is just all over the place in terms of what it wants to be, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in this case, considering that it only rarely ever feels overwhelming. It is actually quite fun to see how the translation from style to style can be meshed together in pretty efficient ways, like how it's a thriller, a western, a sci-fi flick, a mystery, some horror thrown into things. It's literally everything. Going in with expectations of what this movie could be is definitely one way that most people have gotten their feelings hurt, because this movie isn't your typical horror or thriller movie. You won't get crazy amounts of jump scares or even teeth-shattering moments. This movie isn't going to spoon-feed you every intricate detail to you as a viewer, meaning that yeah, you will maybe have to give it a rewatch or two to pull out concepts that aren't extremely surface level. And please, if you get anything else from this video, understand this is not Get Out or Us, so there is no point in trying to come up with comparisons. With more and more releases coming out, we gotta recognize that Peele just uses horror or thriller as a blanketed term for his productions that have this eerie undertone, but at the end of the day, they all have different styles and varying degrees of what people consider to be stereotypically scary. And yeah, that confusion can be a bit misleading, but judging a product based on not the quality of the product itself, but on how much they fulfilled your personal expectations of how things should go isn't the best measure of things. At the end of the day, Nope is an acquired taste. But if you like that taste, then you're really going to like that taste. Now, the film itself carries a plethora of messages that are all represented in different forms throughout the movie, but it seems to be all connected to this central point in what I personally believe is the main theme of the film, in that chasing what's not meant to be chased out of selfish reasons will only ever end up in chaos. It's a connecting truth that holds this story intact and is reflected perfectly within an antagonist who is only violent when you look for it, a force that is only activated when it is actively looked for, and it only ends in chaos for everyone involved. Every character in this film, for the most part, is influenced to different degrees by this idea of how enticing it would be to just look, to go searching for an answer to a problem or question that they clearly shouldn't be messing with, while having different internal motivations on why they would want to look for that answer. They are then all connected in facing the true consequences on why they shouldn't look. So what better way to create a better conceptual understanding of the message than to look into those who are victims themselves? Ricky Jupe Park is a cunning showman with a deep yet traumatic past in the entertainment industry. Being a successful child actor himself, his entire worldview is formed around his idea of putting on a spectacle. So when older, he gravitated towards this performance of being a cowboy, even though his authenticity can come into question as he didn't grow up in a ranch, but rather on a TV set. He opens Jupiter's Claim, a theme park based on the Wild West with played-up theatrics. He dresses as this flashy yet stereotypical cowboy, which funny enough contrasts OJ and Emerald's clothing, two people who actually grew up living the Western lifestyle. And he holds these encapsulating events, all in the effort to draw this attention and put on a show. So when he found out this possible attraction of a lifetime, he was quick to capitalize. When Park found out about this discovery of a potential alien life, he believed that he could control the beast and use it to his advantage, because of his personal belief of him being able to tame the untamable. A result that comes from his experience with Gordy the chimp, a wild animal who caused mass amount of physical harm to those he shared the stage with, and caused a mass amount of PTSD for Park as Gordy was ultimately shot dead right before his very eyes. This rooted trauma, along with Park's affinity for the theatrics, is why he prefers to tell the made-for-TV SNL version of events to everyone else. Gordy's story is a symbol of animal exploitation within all these types of entertainment, as his actions were the result of people trying too hard to look for answers on how to better control a wild animal, which ultimately ties back to the central message of this film, as it ends with nothing but death and permanent scarring, both physically and mentally, for everyone involved. But before Gordy was shot, Park shared a moment with the animal. It wasn't that of outright violence, but rather one of shared camaraderie as Gordy reaches in for a fist bump. The fist bump ultimately never connects as Gordy is shot dead before it happens, but this installs this idea in Park that he can control the uncontrollable. He doesn't know if it would have been just a fist bump, he doesn't know if this was just a coincidence, or if it was because he wasn't fixated on confronting the animal, but rather trying to keep his distance and have his eyes off of him. But this sets Park down the path of him believing that he is the special exception to the rule. So So when years later he's confronted with this chaotic alien being, he feels as if he is the one chosen to tame it, so he can show it off to the world and have the limelight back onto him. This ultimately backfires, however, and it leaves him and several others being a victim of the UFO's chaos. In an effort of constantly looking for ways to exploit the uncontrollable for show, it ends up backfiring and costing him his life. When Angel Torres first enters the story, many people dismiss him as a temporary comedic relief character who will leave the story pretty much immediately after he serves his intended purpose of helping OJ and Emerald set up their security cameras. He is your classic case of a frustrated person feeling unhappy with their life because they feel like it's going nowhere. He works a dead-end job at a tech company, and when he gets home, his favorite activities are smoking weed and going into VR, two hobbies that are quite literally promoted around one being able to escape their own reality and thoughts. And we can see that this is building up over time, as one of the first things he does when he's not in his natural element is just straight up scream all his frustrations out there. The extra icing on the cake is having his girlfriend, someone he viewed as his forever partner, leaves him as she increases her social status as she books a TV pilot, thus symbolizing him in his stagnant position of living a monotonous life. He just wants to be included, symbolized by him frequently inserting himself into conversations when he practically knows nothing about it. So when two people come up to him talking about needing security cameras for possible alien activity, Angel jumps at the opportunity to insert his involvement. This is the possible change that he needs in his life, something to give him purpose, something that fills him with anticipation, and if discovered could be something major. So we see him coming back to the ranch to help with trying to get this beast on camera, and we can also quickly see how his efforts take a turn for the worse. From the horror of being trapped in a blood-soaked house for hours, to almost being a victim of the UFO's hunger if it wasn't for his quick thinking, ability to handle some pain, and a bit of luck. Ultimately, in an effort of constantly looking for excitement in his life, no matter how dangerous it may be, he almost becomes a victim of the chaos. Emerald and OJ are two sides of the same Haywood coin, both having the same upbringing, both developing into drastically different people because of their roles in that upbringing. OJ, rightfully fulfilling his name as Junior, was the most like his father and spent the most time with him during his everyday life. Emerald, on the other hand, being the odd woman out and frequently not feeling like a priority in this family. This slight change would carry into their adult lives, as this left an everlasting impression on the both of them. Emerald compensated her lack of attention growing up by her father by striving to be the most boisterous and out there person in the room at all times. Her interest pivoted away from the family business naturally, seeing her trying to be the star of the show and making a name for herself. Despite her independent nature, however, it's clear that she still fawns for that fatherly attention, signified from how she repeatedly watches her father's old commercials and contemplates old memories such as her horse jean jacket being sold away. OJ would be the more calm, reserved, and responsible sibling, possibly due to him needing to mature quicker, as he would one day have the responsibility of the ranch on his shoulders. But after his father died in front of him due to a freak accident, his calm attitude seemed to develop into an extreme stoicism, as he had trouble even looking someone in the eye, a slight detail that separates OJ from the rest of the characters, as he is able to know when things are too far and understand that sometimes all you can just say is nope. After the death of their father, Emerald and OJ are reunited to deal with the business's shortcomings in recent times. Despite their contrasting standings, they both are still heavy family people at heart, and after a chance encounter with something seemingly out of this world, a plan is hatched for them to get video evidence for profit. A plan, I may add, is originated from Emerald. Over the course of this film, they go through torture in an effort to get a picture of this creature. They lose a lot of the little finances they had left, almost being killed by the creature on multiple occasions, and building everlasting trauma along the way, such as witnessing the blood of generations of people being poured onto their childhood home. But what's most interesting about these siblings' story is that they end in a unique twist of fate, because you have the woman with an attention-seeking personality who ends up looking away from the publicity, and a man who is the only person in this film that is able to look away, staring down the creature dead center. And they are both fueled by the same reason: family. Emerald, when faced with the oncoming reporters at the end of the story, looks away because she realizes that the financial gain that she was going to get from this picture wasn't going to make up for the potential lost sibling that was caused from chasing that creature. And OJ finds his strength in his family, as they are the only reason he would even attempt to look into the unknown for. So in an effort to give his little sister more time to escape, he accepts his fate and looks at the creature head on. Both characters had their outlooks developed by family, and both also had their eventual moral changes caused by family as well. In an effort of constantly looking for financial gain from an unknown creature, they almost become the victim of losing family to chaos. This movie is the furthest thing to bad. It's just that it takes an extra listen or two for you to truly understand what is being said. Even in this video now, you have other concepts that I didn't touch on, such as the motorcycle guy representing the media's chase for a story, disregarding what their actions may cause as their only goal is being relevant, or the director, Antler's host, representing the chase for the impossible and the fine line between perfection and insanity. So before you are quick to rate this a 1 out of 10, maybe give it an extra watch. Or maybe 2. If you guys made it this far, I would ask if you guys please like and subscribe to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds, but it would mean the world to me. Peace.